Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing something a little bit different. Um, I really don't ever criticize movies too much, but since I play a lot of Backrooms games and I kind of just felt like I had to put my 2 cents in. Uh, I just got done watching the Backrooms movie uh, yesterday, which is June the 2nd, right? I saw it in the afternoon because I figured it would probably be like the best time to see it, to sort of avoid big crowd, try to get the best movie experience I could, but even then it was still pretty damn packed. So there's no denying that this movie is a big hit. It's opening weekend, God, one of the best out there. Um, so yeah, there's no doubt that this movie is successful, and that is not something I'm trying to criticize. Uh, it's well deserved, well earned. Kane Parsons or Kane Pixels as people know him. Like he's been doing this for a little bit, mostly with his like short sketches that he's done. I've seen a few of that. Um, I know a little bit of like the Backrooms lore, so I was excited to see this movie. I can't lie about that. I really wanted to see it. Um, I'm not a big cinephile, so I usually wait till like movies get on like Netflix or Prime or something like that before I really watch them. But I digress. This is not really the point. So I'll say this: the movie started incredibly strong. The opening scene of whoever that async worker was, like just running around being chased by some unknown entity. That was that was top notch. Like those scenes in the movie were fantastic. Especially that opener. Like it was like whoa, it was setting you up that like this was a very scary and unnerving movie. And to that end, it did perfectly. My expectations were greatly exceeded when I saw that. And then the movie cuts to the protagonist, like Clark, the former architect now working a a furniture store, and then to our second protagonist, Dr. Mary, uh, a therapist who's sort of like trying to help Clark out, and but you see that she's dealing with her own traumas and her own problems throughout snippets of the film. Um, Definitely, Mary is the like stronger protagonist of the two. Um, okay, well, let me bounce back. That part of the movie I really didn't like because it breaks like that first cardinal rule that that everyone nearly uh, spits out in like movie reviews is like show don't tell, and all it did was just tell, especially for Clark's character, because we just hear about his life, we don't actually see it very much, if at all, and the way they did Mary's scenes, like that was brilliant. How they did like cuts to those flashbacks of her being a little kid and dealing with her mother having her own issues. That was like perfect. Like that setup scene again was a little bit clunky. I mean, it worked. I wasn't expecting a a masterpiece of characters because once they discover the back rooms, once Clark makes that discovery with the electrician, and then it shows cuts to him like sleeping at his store, just showing kind of how badly his life is at the at a current state. And when once he discovers the back rooms, like he falls into the no clips out of the front rooms, or no clips out of reality into the back rooms. That was like that part was brilliant. And then it cuts to him, at the therapist office, and it's clear that hey, like this discovery really affected him, and when rightfully so. That's not a that is a discovery of that magnitude would change anybody. Like, so his character acting rationally. Again, so now, and I got to bring that point up because it's gonna come up later. It's gonna come up later. you know and then he recruits, some of his furniture employees to help him like explore and discover what's going on. And then like that's when the movie is like at its peak. It is just like the camera work and the sound, and then the complexity and the oddities, the mystery behind the back rooms. Like that part just, man, it just hits really hard. It's, man, it's perfect. Perfect. There's no other way to describe it. That part of the movie is just like the second act really, like the end of the first into the second act, like that part is just like wowzers. Like that's what I wanted. Like seeing the caveman cutout, and just seeing like all the mysteries behind it. That part was fantastic. But as with all things, well, not with all things, but where the movie starts to lose gas is, man, once Mary goes looking for Clark and she discovers the back rooms. Man, that's when things really start to take a turn for the worse. Because then she ends up discovering Clark, and she sees him as she's being chased by an unknown entity at the time. Uh, Clark does this weird thing, and he just chokes her out, right? And I'm just like, what the hell? For like initially, I thought that was like a mimic of him, you know, and then she was gonna end up having to like do another chase scene, and maybe she was gonna go see the real Clark actually dead somewhere, and that's sort of what I thought was gonna happen. But then it went to the dinner scene, and that is, oh man, yeah, that is where I'm like, what the hell is going on, man? That's where the movie just, it really takes a weird turn. Like, I okay, because Clark is, it's clear that Clark has gone crazy at that point. Like he's sort of gone mad, and then starts spitting out like what his rules, or the rules that he thinks of the back rooms are, and what those creature like somehow he was able to tame those creatures, or at least like communicate with them and have them I don't know, it's he was able to communicate with them in some way. It's not explained how. Um, it's not really needed, but it it is really weird, because like the last scene he was in, he was literally being chased, um, and he was he was being chased by something, uh, and then it just cuts to him being crazy, and it's Like there's definitely a time skip that happens that we just don't see. And again, it goes back to the whole show don't tell rule being broken. Like with the characters, like in the back rooms, like the setting, the environments, and all that, the set pieces, everything, like that is perfect show don't tell. That is masterfully done. The characters, on the other hand, are, yeah, they do the exact opposite. They tell you, but they don't actually show you. So he went crazy, but they don't actually show him going crazy because it's like he seemed like a perfectly rational person. You know, what a normal person would do, like uh, up to the point to where he's captured. You know, and then he's captured. I guess he was got. Again, they don't really show it, so I guess he something happened, right? And that's the part where it leaves too much open to interpretation of like what happened to him, and it's like jumping from A to Z, and you just skipped all those other letters, um, and it's just like that part was very like confusing to me because it's like like the way I can describe it is like it's like you sit down and you're watching the movie The Descent, you know, then all of a sudden, like at the end, like just before the climax, the movie switches to Hereditary. You know, and it's like hmm something is not quite not quite right. You know, the flow of logic, the flow of the movie just seems to like really rush to the end. It's like sprints, you know, which is because like the movie up until the third act is like a slow burn, and then it just guns it at the very end to where like your neck just breaks because you're just like, well, what the hell? Yeah, and that brings me to like my next issue with it is like the timeline just sort of like it's clear and evident from the visual storytelling that time is passing, but it's not very clear how much time has passed. And I understand that some things in the back room deal with like some type of like time distortions, time travel, and things of that nature. And yeah, it's very not well explained. Like and it's one of the things that it's a pet peeve of mine in like movies where like you just time skip, you know, because there's clearly a lot of development that has happened that is not shown but is expected, like, but the viewer is expected to like keep up, and it's sort of like maybe if there's like a deleted scenes sort of like a director's cut edition that comes out later this year, or like in the movies, like a purchasable DVDs or set or whatever, you know. um Maybe a director's cut might, and like those cut scenes might be able to explain it better, you know. But yeah, like I said, that dinner scene just sort of like things really start to fall apart, and then you know the monster attacks Clark, and then Mary starts running away. Inevitably, you know, she meets up with it, like an async team, you know, and they bring her back as well as the entity to their like headquarters, I guess, or wherever the hell it is. Um, and it's just like, and that was you know, that was like the other biggest problem was um there was a lot on the table that they just sort of like I like just commit to something anything, like commit to something and like stick with your guns because it's like you could literally remove all the async stuff and like you would lose nothing from the film. And I mean that wholeheartedly. You get rid like they introduce a character like in the beginning. They don't say his name, but he says it at the very end. Phil. They show him in snippets throughout the. They show him snippets throughout the movie, but it's like honestly, if you cut him out, you lose nothing. That like it literally is just wasted time. Every time like the async people show up, it's like why did you even bother showing this crap? Like you could have just had Mary sitting at the interrogation table, you know, no other actors, just sitting there staring at one of those two-way mirrors or one-way mirrors, and then just cut to the ending scene that they had. Not a single async member would have been seen, and you would have lost nothing from the film. And I guarantee goddamn that because they brought absolutely nothing, and it was a waste of time. I wish like they would have like explained a little bit more because the only thing you learn is like oh they used to make MRIs and now uh they found the back rooms and that's something about a dog. Trying to draw a dog for a blind person who's never seen a dog. It's like okay, you said that like once. Just uh, that part of the movie just like really just it's like why like it's like they were setting up for a Backrooms 2, and I think that's sort of like what is like really getting under my skin a little bit is like because they were making it feel like this should just be a goddamn TV series at this point. Like you should not. It should not be a movie. It should be like a 10 episode only series. Because it's yeah. Um, but yeah, like I'm rambling a little bit too much now. So like overall, like the atmosphere and the visuals are like top notch, amazing, amazing. The environment, mwah, chef's kiss. That shit was great. Like really, like the back rooms was like the main star of the show, and it's pretty evident. Like that's like the back rooms were like the main star, and the actual characters and the plot were like an afterthought in most of it, and it's like it really shouldn't have been. Like and I know some people are gonna criticize and say like, oh man, I suck too much brain rot from TikTok, and you know there should be all this TikTok uh brain rot crap in the back rooms, getting chased by Epstein and all this stupid shit, and like whatever, like and people will say that and then they'll say, "Oh, I don't understand the themes." But it's like it's pretty obvious, themes of letting go. It's pretty much, is the rock that hits Captain Clark on the head, like the themes and all that stuff are pretty obvious, but it's just like it doesn't work that good. It doesn't work that well when the characters are so like poorly written. Like their motivations for doing what they're doing is pretty awful, honestly. You know, like I didn't expect like a masterpiece of like these characters. You know, I was just sort of like like the Descent or like the first Jurassic Park, like oh they're just people who happen to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. You don't really need much motivation more than that, but like to try to to try to tie it to like those psychological issues and not really have the psychological issues uh, actually build up to the finale is sort of like the problem with the finale. It's like they briefly talk about it in the beginning, and then it's trying to do a nostalgia trip in its own movie for some reason of like, oh, remember this scene. It's like, well, no shit, it's the same goddamn movie. So it's like I don't understand, why you're doing it that way. Like setting up the same therapy session scene from the beginning and then doing the same thing at the end, but this time he's crazy when it's like that really shouldn't have been that really shouldn't have been why he was crazy, like if it was crazy, if he went crazy, it should have been because he was, having some type of like Stockholm syndrome in the back rooms, or just going mad because he's lost, and you know some other reason other than he's divorced his ex-wife, and it's a nasty divorce by the sound of it, and he's sleeping in his work, and he lives at work, and like shit, that shit sucks already. So it's like trying to make him to be the bad guy at the end of it because of that is like that's just poor motivation. And honestly, like, okay, I think I've talked too much on this. But at the but yeah, no, I'll keep up with the Backrooms content. There's still more coming out. But until next time, y'all guys take it easy.